So I was just going through a list of subject titles that I plan to talk about, and so I thought I would. It's a Sunday, and I wasn't going to do any more videos today, but what I've learned is, strike while the iron's hot, and because I'm outside and I've got the camera in my hand, and I was thinking about a couple of the next videos I'm going to do. I thought I'd quickly do this one on aliens. Now, I can imagine a few people are raising their eyebrows right now, thinking, what on earth is he going to talk about? Aliens, unidentified flying objects, or the unidentified aerial vehicles, or not identified. I don't know what term, but every few years they create a new term. Everyone on planet Earth understands the term UFO, so I don't know why they just don't stick to UFO, unidentified flying object. Now, but aliens is, and the possibility of aliens, and all the alien chat in the news media, in the last couple of years actually, it's all rather interesting. Now, I love the idea of aliens. Now, do I believe in them? Do I believe they exist? I really don't know, but I really do believe. I really like the idea of them being real, because I think it would make everything, so interesting. But for years I've liked the idea of aliens, and I love listening to people talk about space and the space frontier, and the possibility of building more powerful telescopes on Earth, but also telescopes that we can send up there and that can look deeper into space, searching for extraterrestrial life. So all that stuff I do find very interesting. And I've spoken with scientists, people that like chatting about metaphysics and quantum physics, and people that actually enjoy thinking outside the box. It's like taking their brain for an exercise, so that they really push the envelope of understanding, to try and get a framework around how aliens might exist, and how they might work, and how, if they exist, they might interact with the human species, us. And so I have found all this very interesting, and it fascinates me, so I like it. Now, but recently, well, I say recently, over the last year, maybe 2 years, it's a Sunday evening, and you're searching the internet for something interesting to watch, listen to. And so I often will click on the alien links, and sorry, my appearance apparently is terrible, so I'm trying to do something about it. You look for, material to watch, and but I would say in the last year there are three things that I've watched that really got me excited in the possibility of aliens. Now, the first one was I was watching Joe Rogan, and I don't know if you've ever listened to a Joe Rogan podcast. He's basically a comedian in the US, Joe Rogan, and he does long-form conversations in a small studio. And they were on YouTube, and short clips are on YouTube, but the main podcast, the video podcast, is on Spotify, and it's all free. And he's very popular. A massive amount of views. This guy, I think all Americans know who he is. But he had on one of his podcasts a chap called Bob Lazar. Now, Bob Lazar is a physicist, I believe, if I remember correctly. But he worked at Los Alamos in Nevada in the late 80s. Anyway, maybe I was just thinking again, am I allowed to talk about this stuff? Is this censored? I don't know. Anyway, so I'm just going to mention the three programs that I've watched, and then I'll come back to Bob Lazar. So I watched this podcast with Bob Lazar, and I thought it was amazing. And in the podcast, they also had a chap called Jeremy Corbell, who's a bit of an alien guy in the States, and he reports alien sightings and this sort of stuff. But he's also made a film. Now, he made a film about Bob Lazar, and that's on Netflix. And I think if you type in Bob Lazar Area 51 in Netflix, it'll come up straight away. And when you first look at it, it looks like it's going to be terrible. It looks very, not very compelling. It looks woo-woo. It looks like, oh gosh, I'm not even going to spend a minute looking at that because it looks a load of nonsense. But it is an absolute great movie about Bob Lazar. And maybe, already I'm thinking about, am I being censored here? What should I say and what should I not say? But anyway, Bob Lazar, Jeremy Corbell's film on Netflix called Bob Lazar Area 51. It might have Area 51 and Flying Saucers. It's something like that. But I think if you were on Netflix and you typed in Bob Lazar, you would get it. And it's very good. But the interview with Joe Rogan, I think, is even better because it's a long conversation, and what Bob Lazar says is absolutely unbelievable. But for someone like me, that unbelievableness is something that I find very intriguing. And I'm hoping that he's absolutely right. I just hope he's telling the truth, and what he claims he did and saw, I hope it's real, because it just makes this world such an interesting place to be. It's absolutely amazing. Now, so the third name that recently I've watched and listened to is David Fravor. Now, David Fravor was in the US military, a fighter pilot commander on board the Nimitz aircraft carrier. If it's not the Nimitz, it was another very large, big aircraft carrier that the US own. Anyway, he's a fighter pilot, and he's also been on Joe Rogan, and he's also been on another YouTuber's channel called Lex Fridman. And he covers the same ground that he does with Joe Rogan. But Dave Fravor, back in around 2004, 2008, it's around that time, it's about 15 years ago, Dave Fravor was on a flight with his wingman and another pair of jets, Navy Air Force jets. So there were two pairs, and they were on exercise. And I'm trying to remember which location. Was it the Pacific or the Atlantic? I don't remember, but not too far off the coast of the United States. And they're on exercise, and they're called to a UFO. And it's nicknamed the Tic Tac. So if you would type in anywhere on the internet, David Fravor Tic Tac, you will pick up all the interviews that he's had. I think the one with Joe Rogan is very good. Joe Rogan, David Fravor Tic Tac. You will find that podcast. It's brilliant. Anyway, David Fravor, I would have thought he's retired now. I think that's why he's allowed to talk about it. His account is also unbelievable. They intercept an object that's flying above the ocean, and it is a tic-tac shape. And then this tic-tac zooms up, zooms down, but accelerates like it's not subject to the laws of physics. Its movement is instantaneous. The tic-tac thing doesn't have any air control surfaces, so you know, you're straight into Star Trek and Star Wars territory. The thing seems to be, you know, flying. The laws of gravity, well, the effect of gravity doesn't seem to impact this flying object that looks like a tic-tac, and it zooms around. Anyway, Dave Fravor in his fighter jet and his wing fighter jet and the other pair of fighter jets, they all witness it. And Dave Fravor tries to get closer to it, and he explains how he does that. And eventually, this tic-tac just shoots off like the laws of physics don't apply. Anyway, that's basically the content of what he talks about, but he goes into much deeper detail, and it is super, super interesting. So around this time, I see the Joe Rogan interview with Bob Lazar, and Bob Lazar talks about. So his claim is that he worked at a site near Area 51. I can't remember the name of it now, but it's Area 51-ish, and he worked for the U.S. military, I think Navy, and so he's contracted to do, you know, a job that he's not allowed to talk about, and so he's ended up talking about it, and he explains why in his interviews. But he claims that he worked on, or he had sight of, alien craft, and his job was to reverse engineer the propulsion system and/or energy system that the craft used for it to fly. And so that's his claim, and he explains what he did, how he got the job, and how his job was terminated, and then why he went public with the information that he had sight of. And he explains all that. So in the last couple of years, I've watched this interview several times. I've watched the video on Netflix, Jeremy Corbell's piece on Netflix, and David Fravor many times. And the reason that I've watched them a few times is because, you know, initially I thought, is this real? Is it made up? You know, why is this person, you know, in the general public, you know, telling these stories? Is it true? And again, you know, I want it to be true because I think it would be fascinating to learn that aliens exist, and planet Earth has been visited by little green men, and I mean, it would just be so interesting. So I'm a person, you know, that really does want aliens exist because I think it would be interesting, but I also understand the physics of it and how complex it might be. And you know, the framework of reference is going to be very tricky to define, to explain all this, because, you know, an alien might not be, you know, in physical appearance that we can see or touch. An alien could be much smaller than a human being, could be much bigger, and again, you know, how do we interact with it? An alien's you know, just might be something that we can't see, hear, feel, and touch. You know, so to think about it like that, you know, it's interesting. I mean, I think it'd be cool if aliens, you know, were in a form that we could see, hear, and touch. It'd be cool if, like, there's a film called Paul, hilarious. If the aliens were like that Paul character, that would be just brilliant. You know, but I suppose what I'm hoping for is that. You know, that this spacecraft is real, and this chap Bob Lazar, you know, he did work on an alien spacecraft, and at some point in the future we might learn of what that spacecraft looks like and how actually it does fly. You know, of course, if this is all real, I don't know. I'm just telling you what I've seen, and you know, I'm just sharing the experience with you. Also, if you hear any gunshots, do not worry. There are people hunting around here, and they, you know, guns. They do go off, so do not worry about it. There are chaps with orange jackets that I will see, and I know that, you know, people with guns are close by. They're looking for animals to shoot. Some people might consider that they're probably. That I would qualify an animal that could be shot. So if I fall down, you know what's happened. Anyway, so yes, back to aliens. Yeah, I'm hoping that they are real. I think that would be fascinating. And you know, if we do indeed have alien craft, how interesting would that be? I mean, it would just make your day, it would make my day, just filled with excitement to learn that there is an object that wasn't made on planet Earth that's come here, and inside there are little green men, or whatever form an alien takes. You know, that would just be the coolest thing ever. The technology would be amazing to learn how they fly, how they create energy. Because one of the things I understand is the rules that aliens might, the laws of physics, the chemistry that an alien might be way more advanced than what we have. And this is how they're able to do more capable things than humans can do right now. But again, you know, this is it's a very interesting, complex subject, and we just don't know. We have these accounts of people like Bob Lazar, Dave Fravor, and there are many others actually. But these are the guys that I was most sort of intrigued by. And I really hope that they are right. I hope they're telling the truth, and I hope this stuff is real. It would just make this world and life so interesting. Now, I'm going to leave it there, and I hope I haven't driven people crazy with this one. I know it's a bit off-piste. I've spoken about this one today. I didn't plan to do this one today, but I'm worried about censorship at the moment, and I'm worried about breaking some community guidelines. So I might pick topics for a little while that I'm sure shouldn't be censored, and this is how I'll get around this. Once again, I am working out a strategy to put together content that I feel is safe and won't be censored, and you know, I won't be breaking community guidelines. So once again, hope I haven't bored you too much. I hope people understand not understand, that'd be my fault if you don't understand. But you know, I want aliens to exist. I'm not claiming that I believe in them. I just find the notion of aliens absolutely fascinating, very interesting, and I hope they are real. That's what I'm saying. That's the point made in this video. I hope everyone is well, and I will see you all again. Just a very quick video here. You probably can't see anything in my viewfinder, but there is a guy over there with an orange high visibility piece of clothing with a hat, and he's got a little bell with him, and I can see a dog with him. And when you see people with orange high visibility vests and dogs and whistles, what it means is the hunters are close by, and he's walking. They're very safety conscious around here. So when you see an orange high visibility and a single guy walking along, you know that the hunters are behind him. And anyway, I just thought I'd pop this in there. You know, it's kind of interesting. And again, I hope everyone is well.